Welcome to Channel Today in History. In today's video we will talk about the day, November 10, 1928. Hirohito, Emperor of Japan. The eldest son of Emperor Yoshihito, who died in 1926, Hirohito received a nationalist and traditional education under the tutelage of the military, and completed his education with an unprecedented tour of Western Europe that made an impact on him. When he returned, he had to assume the regency on behalf of his father, affected by mental illness, 1921. 2 years after Yoshihito's death, he ascended the chrysanthemum throne on November 10, 1928, as the 124th Japanese monarch of an imperial line dating back to 660 BC, adopting for his reign the name Showa, peace and harmony. Emperor Hirohito ruled one of the most turbulent eras in his country's history. He had to face the rise of the military who, from 1927 to 1931, pushed for the Japanese invasion of Manchuria, while in the interior they promoted conspiracies aimed at replacing party governments with a military dictatorship under the cover of the emperor. Hirohito, whose inclination led him to act as a European-style constitutional monarch, fought these tendencies as long as he could, punishing the guilty, especially during the 1936 military uprising. However, faced with the risk of losing the throne, he ended up accepting the policy imperialism that the military has imposed since the outbreak of the war against China, 1937, as well as the alliance with Nazi Germany, and the attack on the United States, which led to the entry of the Americans into World War II, 1941. During the entire dispute, he remained in his Tokyo palace, withstanding the bombings to share the fate of his subjects, and it was he who, after the Americans dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, imposed the inevitable surrender in 1945, explaining to the Japanese people, by radio, that it was necessary to support the unbearable. During the American occupation after the war, the Allies accepted MacArthur's criterion of keeping the emperor as a guarantee of stability, and the reconstruction of the defeated Japan, opening a period of great political and social reforms, which began with the public declaration of Hirohito of his human character, which ended the tradition of sacred monarchy of divine origin, 1946. The democratization of Japan forced Hirohito to make a great personal effort, to be formally stripped of his powers, and to assume a merely symbolic role, without effective political influence, being forced to leave the isolation of the court to know directly the reality of his country. Hirohito, however, remained the official representative of the nation until his death in 1989. Adapted to the new circumstances, he presided over a process of westernization and spectacular economic growth, taking refuge in the study of marine biology, in which he became a specialist. He was the first Japanese emperor to travel abroad, to Europe and the United States, mainly. He was the longest reigning monarch in Japan's history and, at his death, was succeeded by his son Akihito. Did you like the video? In the description you will find the blog link with the full article. Give an incentive by subscribing to the channel, liking, commenting and sharing with your friends. Hugs. Until the next.